make it, and I thought they would not make it because 214 was too much. But you still got to keep going at it. But they're playing the game differently these days.
I saw a stat somewhere. Has Miller only started 8 games of the last 28 games
Yeah.
that the Kings 11 have played?
He has been in and out.
Average 25, strike rate 125. So maybe Ajay is right. He's 59 or 40. If he had scored one more run, he realized if he had taken a single of that last ball, there would have been too much physical labor involved in our studio. So,
but Harsha, the other number you threw at me just before the show started was Chris Gayle in 200 plus run chases.
Yes.
And that is something that tells the story here. It's very disappointing. Average around 20, a strike rate of 129.
Yeah, something like that. 127, 128, average 22. With every great player, there is a stat somewhere that challenges that. Even with Tendulkar, people would pull that out. But it's 4 or 5, I think it's 5 games. 200 plus run chases are not that many. It's 4 or 5 games or 6 games, something like that. Unless it is that when he's batting first, he's not under pressure to deliver runs, so he can take those 15, 20 balls, which he needs to go and then produce the big scores. Maybe when he's chasing, he doesn't have the luxury of those 15, 20 balls. Maybe he needs to go quickly. That could be just one reason that I can think of.
But the fact is, you look at a few games or you look at a lot of games, one person has delivered twice. It's been an assault chasing and an assault batting first from our MPL hero of the match, Andre Russell. Certainly will be a favourite for the man of the match as well, but he is our undisputed MPL hero of the match. And certainly if you look at Andre Russell's contribution both times, 190 for 4 in isolation in 20 overs, not a bad effort from Punjab, but when you've got that 48 of 17 balls to follow up what he did in the previous game, that is the little difference.
And 3 overs, 2 for 21.
I didn't even mention that.
Yeah, 3 overs, 2 for 21, including the wickets of Chris Gayle and Sarfaraz. It's okay, but Chris Gayle. No, Sarfaraz is not going to win you the game. I like his spunk, I like his whatever. But at number 4, I didn't think he was going to win the game. If someone has to win the game, it was Gayle or Miller. So.
Yeah, KL Rahul,
Rahul had gone.
I'd add Rahul to that list. And I think it was
once Rahul had gone.
Once Rahul had gone, then, things were going to be difficult. Because it's about 214 means even if a batsman gets 100, you still need, it's like when you chase 300 scores, you need 2 guys to get 100 to win that game because everybody doesn't score in every game. Yeah. Similarly, in a 2020 game, if you need to chase 210, 220, you need at least 3 guys to get big scores. Because there's very little time for people to come in and start scoring. It was 15 or 18 and over in the last 8-10 overs. So when Mandeep walks in, it's 25 and over. What is poor Mandeep going to do? He's going to swing his bat. He's going to get, his stats would probably look better, and maybe that's why most teams pick him and still play him at 6, because these stats will go into that. These numbers will go, he's not out. He's played certain number of balls at 6. He averages so much, but it means nothing at the end of the game because he's not one new game there. So if he has 4 games like this, next season the auction, the algorithm will show that, he bats at 6, bats at 300 runs per 100 balls, but it's of no use. It's behind that run rate on that day.
And and as Ajay will know, I love giving these filmy references so our film person will know.
I like the way.
In every movie, there is a scene stealer. Yeah. And there is this guy who's actually done a lot, who's acted quite well, but he's like the hero's brother equivalent, He's done well, but you don't notice. Now, I'm looking at these numbers, 63 of 34. And as you said to us while you were chatting, 2 4s and 7 sixes. Who are we talking about? We're talking about Andre Russell. But at the end, we're all talking about Andre Russell. Nitish Rana has hit 7 6s in 34 balls. But the scene stealer, the charisma scene stealer, it just comes and makes the difference of it. 63 of 34, strike rate 185, batting at a different number from the number he batted last time.
Yeah.
So there you have it. You've got the unsung hero, Nitish Rana. We've got the hero on the couch, Ajay Jadeja. We've got the MPL hero of the match. That, of course, was Andre Russell. We've got one more hero to reveal, and that is, of course, the person who most manipulated his team the best, picked the best players in his super team, our super team hero, and that is Pramod. Oh, you have to love those glasses. Pramod Kumar with 295 points. Of those, 60 points go for the sunglasses. The rest of it goes for the picking of his team. Hashtag Game Khelo Hero Bano. Yes, indeed. Well done. And I'm sure Andre Russell would have featured very heavily in there along with Sunil Narayan, maybe Varun Chakravarti, maybe not quite so much Christopher Henry Gayle. But just
if he had orange hair, you would have liked him more, no?
Well, I liked the green glasses. That was fine.
But if he had orange hair, I would have liked him even more.
Yeah, 30 more points for that.
That picture, he looks younger than even Piyush Chawla. Doesn't he?
I thought you were going to say younger than Sarfaraz.
But no, this is a comeback for the hero line. Yes, because we're having this discussion about how old Piyush Chawla is. It doesn't matter now.
But Ashwin has post-match owned up to the fact that yes, he was the man in charge. He should have really spotted that no ball, and because
fair call, which is what captain should do and captain should say.
And Andre Russell did make the difference. We talked about it earlier, and I think that really has made all the difference, the runs that he got after he was dismissed. By a peach of a delivery, that'll be forgotten because it wasn't out.
It was 4 or 6. It could have been the delivery that won the game for the Punjab team. You know, it was delivery that could have won them the game. Yep. And to think that, and it just tells you how alert you need to be. I mean, even the catch that Lockie Ferguson dropped of David Miller, next 2 overs, 29 runs. So today in T20 cricket, on tracks like these especially, it's the little things that can have huge impact. And that's why I think fielding is, we always say fielding is 2 wickets, but I think fielding is 20, 25, 30 runs in this game.
Yeah, fielding is an important aspect of it.
And you'd have to say, without sounding too harsh, that if you look at these 8 teams, the Kings 11 Punjab will find themselves somewhere towards the lower half, shall we say.
Well fed.
Right.
Well fed.
No, in fact, the last game that they played, I mean, this game they still look better because, you know, Pooran's not keeping wickets, so Rahul's not out in the outfield. He held a brilliant catch, but as a fielder to throw, who else? There's one more who's changed today, who was also not the best. So
the 4 changes. So
yeah, the other day, if you look at that side,
Karan was out, Mujib was out.
So the last game there were about 7 that I counted who were slow fielders, and the only fielder was Karun Agarwal and Mandeep. And I thought, you know, I was putting them into the brilliant fielding guys, but everybody else, they're the slowest. You know, Mohammad Shami is there. You got Chris Gale, you got Sarfraz, you got the captain himself. I mean, he might.
So the interesting one is they've got 2 young men
who are the slowest in the world.
Sarfraz and Mujib. You know, Mujib is a bowler. Mujib is not a fielder. Mujib tries, but Sarfraz and Mujib, 2 young men who are minus in the field.
Yeah, so far we're not going to exactly try and rack up points. It would be interesting to try and do that. We'll keep the points table to the points that the team gets for winning and losing, and this is where we stand right now as far as the teams are concerned. Yes, the men in purple and gold are at the top, 2 wins out of 2. It's still early days, but you'll have to say that 2 winless teams who we're going to be going head-to-head in Bengaluru going to have everything to play for to get onto the board because, of course,
Mumbai is a 10,000-meter runner whom you never judge after the first lap.
Yeah, 5. They lose 5 in a row. You'd say, okay, they're in a chance to. It's somewhat like Rohit Sharma striking at about 70 or 80. You're thinking double 100 coming up.
Yes, correct. But MIRCB is going to be an interesting game.
Yeah. So let's just go to that game quickly because again, like today we had 2 teams who had sort of sneaked through, coming in both with wins under their belt. Now we've got 2 winless teams, very different circumstances in a way. Bangalore will just feel that they were outdone by that surface. How will Mumbai feel coming off that first game?
I think Mumbai should worry about their bowling. I feel they're probably really short on bowling. The last game that they played, yes, there are bowlers who are all-rounders, but they're bowling, but they're not the bowlers. They've got too much in that batting lineup. I mean, when you have 4 of the best players that play for India, then you still need all-rounders at number 7 and 8. I'm talking about the overseas players. Pollard is an emotional player that they have in there. You add UV to that list. So there's so much batting, but the bowling is short. I thought the other day they probably would have got away because they were chasing. And in chasing at the Wankhede probably is slightly easier. But if they put up a decent total or an average score, that bowling lineup is not one that's going to, let them win games.
And even
if the opposition makes a mistake, that's a different story. But all respect to Kunal and Hardik and Pollard and who else?
Ben Cutting.
Ben Cutting.
You can't count Ben Cutting as a bowler. So I think they're still going emotionally. Ben Cutting had a great game last year, last couple of games. So they want him there. Pollard, who's always been their person. Hardik, who's also an emotional call. UV, I think, is another emotional call. So there's right in that middle is a whole emotional bit that you've got. You've got to get rid of 2 of these, whoever you want.
I think Malinga will come for Cutting because, as you said, they've got enough batting.
On that note, shall we actually have a look at the options that lie? The men in yellow, of course, are the ones who played that first game. So we will have options with Bumrah, a possible non-starter. He is in Bengaluru, but obviously recovering from that.
So Malinga comes in straight away. So if Malinga comes in for Bumrah, then Cutting has to go out. Cutting has to go out. they'll have to replace him with a bowler, right? Because so they'll probably play Barinder Sahn maybe in his place.
Yeah,
Or Mayank Markande, the leg spinner. Yeah, they've got Mayank Markande, the leg spinner.
yeah, I mean, he's playing for India. I mean, Markande's played for
So
India.
they'll get the second spinner. Correct. Last time they only played one spinner.
Yeah, and I saw Rasik the other day. I mean, he's a young man, not wanting to be unfair to somebody by one game, but doesn't look anything special. I mean, to start a season for Mumbai, he didn't look like the bowler. Virendra Saran, we've seen, he's played for India. So one, that for sure. If you could put that list again, look at that list.
I want to ask you just very simply, I mean, not to play on words too often, but Barinder or Behrinder?
Barinder nahi hai, Barendorf hai.
I know.
No, not Barendorf. I was talking Barinder
Playing
Saran.
on the words, yeah.
So look at that. You left out. Who do you want? So Bumrah goes out now,
Yeah.
and Rasik Salam is the guy who. So I'm not counting him as a complete bowler. So it was only Jasprit Bumrah that was actually a pure bowler in there, or is a bowler who's worth, or the opposition would worry about. And look at the batting. I would actually leave out Quinton de Kock because he's one of those who you love watching him. He gets 20s, 30s at the top. And then he doesn't take the team through.
So you'd play Ishan Kishan for
yeah,
him?
because you're talking of an overseas player. You can play as many Indian players. Add bowling at the back. So Surya Kumar Yadav had a fabulous year last year. Why would you want him to come at 3? I think Rohit Sharma and Surya Kumar Yadav at right at the top. You can do without a wicket keeper because how many games does Quinton de Kock win for any franchise team?
But I'll just
1 out of 7. He looks good. He looks good in every game. 20 of 10 balls, 12 balls.
Ajay, I fully agree with you to most of it. But Quinton de Kock in the last 2 months or so has tried to reinvent himself even in 50-over cricket. He told himself, of course he gets enough hundreds, but he told himself in T20 cricket, and we saw it in the last series, that he's starting to spend more time out there. Maybe that was the reason why they shoved him straight in, because he brought that form.
I think a lot will depend on the Bangalore wicket. I was there when for the international, and Virat Kohli did say that this is now back to the Bangalore wicket as it was, but only he was playing that game like the Bangalore wicket as it was, the others weren't. So if it is indeed a 160, 170, slightly sluggish, maybe in that kind of surface, then I can understand not playing Quinton de Kock. But if it's the old Bangalore wicket, maybe you can still play him because he might come up. But if you're replacing with overseas bowler, they still don't have Barendorf. So they only have McLennan and Malinga still. So maybe they'll play both McLennan and Malinga both.
Yeah, so they left out McLennan as well. No, not in the last game. McLennan and Bumrah. And then what do you have? Then you certainly go straight to Mati. I would play Markande.
And Malinga.
And Malinga, of course. I mean, if he's fit, if he wants to play, is he good enough? I don't know. I haven't seen him for a year.
I don't know if he's the death over. He's
no, he may not be the same. No, that's never going to be the case. But he'll still be better than the others. So you got to have Malinga. You have Markande as a bowler. I see. You got to have Virendra Saran there.
Then you have Hardik, Krunal and Markande. Yeah.
Hardik, Kunal completed one bowler because they bowl at different times. Kunal is a fabulous cricketer. He gives more than what he can, but on a flat track. And there's a way that I see it. If the guy who's at the other end is 20 plus, Kunal goes for 10 and over. If the guys at the other end is less, he's come into bat, he'll go for 4, 5 and over. Because he does what he does best. If the batsman is taking chances or he can, maneuver him, then he has nothing else to it.
One person we may see, maybe not so early, is Anukul Roy. Zahir Khan rates him very highly, can bat a bit as well. So obviously Markande is first on the list and then he comes. Let's quickly switch to Bangalore, because they look back at that last game and say, we don't want to read too much into that. Mumbai obviously need to make a few changes, especially with Bumrah. So how do you see this in terms of changes vis-a-vis what happened to them the last time around?
I mean, they got the conditions wrong last time, didn't they? So they left out both Negi and Washington Sundar because they had Moeen Ali. So they've got that option. If they have to play Tim Southee, if they want to play Tim Southee in, then they'll probably leave out either Colin de Grandhomme or Moeen Ali, because they'll want to give Hetmeyer more cricket. AB de Villiers will of course play. So one of those two will go out. Because Moeen Ali was playing, they didn't play Washington Sundar. I don't know what kind of form Washington Sundar is. I don't know how much the captain rates him. But there's not a lot in support. Kultanile only comes in right at the end when they get
as does Stoinis.
Yeah, so there's as does Stoinis. So they don't have a lot outside that playing level to go to other than those first two names.
Yeah, I like the bowling that I saw the other day, especially Navdeep Saini. Siraj is
good.
Yeah, he's good. Umesh Yadav is good. Chel's good. So you got 4 bowlers there. You don't need a. I would either play Moeen Ali or Colin de Grandhomme. Both. You don't need both of them. Look at the other guys in that list. You got AB de Villiers. You got Virat Kohli. You got
Hetmeyer, Dubey.
Hetmeyer as well. So Hetmeyer, Colin de Grandhomme, and Moeen Ali. Only two can play, according to me.
Yeah.
One of them they have to bring in one pure bowler, Saudi or whoever you want, because there's too much batting there. When you have a Kohli, AB de Villiers in your side, why do you need an all-rounder at number 7, 8? Those young bowlers are pretty good, Siraj and Navdeep Saini, but you got to give them a little more backing somewhere.
And obviously, as you
Southee
said,
can swing the bat as well.
and as you said, since today the Caribbean flavour was fully in view with Narayan and with Andre Russell, if Shimron Hetmeyer goes,
Only somebody will
treat to
tell,
watch.
only somebody tells Shimron Hetmeyer when it is a single and when it isn't. I mean, last time he's been to the fielder and ran. Nah, just pulling.
When the ball turns, the Caribbean guys don't enjoy it.
Especially with the leg.
So I love the flair and the way they play, but they need a flat track. They need a track where the ball comes on. When it's turned,